Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Also, welcome back to my autistic traits series. I have not done another autistic traits video since my first two, but that's now, yes. So for this one, I am going to talk about eye contact avoidance. Another very common trait in autistic people. Also, one of the first, one of the earlier noticeable symptoms of autism, like in children, eye contact avoidance. I have an interesting relationship with eye contact avoidance because I do avoid eye contact a lot. I mean, almost all the time. But I also have auditory processing disorder pretty severely, actually. So I have to read lips, especially if I have my ear defenders or my headphones on. I read lips to understand, so it's like I'm sort of making eye contact because I have to look at their face and lips. Beyond that, though, in other situations where I don't have to read lips, I don't make eye contact. And as I've said in previous videos, I can only offer my experience. So I'm just going to share my experience with eye contact. I don't intend to be like super scientific about it. So one of the there's a lot of reasons why someone might avoid making eye contact. One of them is sensory, in the sense that making eye contact or looking at someone's face, like, there's a lot of visual information coming at you when you're looking at someone's face, because, you know, autistic people do have struggles with reading facial expressions. So you're getting that information, whether or not you can read it, you're getting that information, your brain is receiving that information and trying to process it. So it's a very loud, if you will, a very loud visual input, facial expressions. So to make eye contact, it's a pretty big visual input. So if someone is sensitive, sensory-wise, especially just in an environment, bright lights, or surrounded by a lot of people where, like, you're looking at someone and there's a lot going on in the background, even just in your peripheral, that's input that's coming in that can overload someone. On the other side of things, for someone with auditory processing problems like I have, it's easier to listen when my vision is not engaged with something. So if I'm staring at the ground, something, just a plain floor or something, I'm not engaging my vision to try to read facial expressions or to take in all this information, then I can devote more, like, cognitive energy to listening and to processing what I'm hearing. That's one of the main reasons why I don't. It's very, very difficult to receive the auditory and the visual input at the same time and keep that information, high quality, if that makes sense. If I have to split between listening and looking, then it's going to be divided 50-50, and I won't catch what people are saying as well, and I won't be able to read someone's expressions as well, because I'm dividing that cognitive, those cognitive resources to take in information from both sources. So that's another, that's probably, I think, would be one of the common reasons among autistic people, that it is just more difficult to process through two different inputs of sensory information. I've read and I've heard that something to do with people's eyes, that there's a very intense interaction with someone. Making eye contact is a very personal thing. Because it is classically, like, for someone who's not autistic, someone not making eye contact is like a bad sign. or it's a distancing thing. And I think that it is, I don't know, I can understand how it might be overwhelming in that respect to be like vulnerable in that way. I can remember times where before I was not trying to pass, or before I stopped trying to pass as neurotypical, where, you know, I would, because making eye contact is a normal thing to do. That's how you have conversations. And it's extremely common among autistic people is don't know how much is a normal amount of eye contact, and it's a very, very small margin. You know, too much eye contact and you're creepy, not enough eye contact and you're distant and a jerk. You know, that's how people would interpret it. So for me, it's so much easier just to not make eye contact, because trying to figure out when to look, like, it doesn't come naturally how much eye contact I make with a person. And it just gets very uncomfortable and kind of stressful of like, oh my gosh, am I being awkward? Is this the right amount of eye contact? I don't know. And are they comfortable? I'm uncomfortable. Do they know that I'm uncomfortable? They're probably uncomfortable. I should look away. Like, it's a classic comedy thing too. Someone making eye contact too long it's weird. It's uncomfortable. And so being on the other end of that, of like not knowing what's, you know, it's stressful. It just, you know, it's like I said, it's another thing that's taking up cognitive resources that I have to think of consciously, that most people don't have to think of consciously. Is how much eye contact do I make? It doesn't come naturally to me. It doesn't come natural to people with autism to understand facial expressions, to make facial expressions, to know when to look away and when to make eye contact, sarcasm. Like, those things, if we do them, it's a conscious effort. And so that's taking cognitive resources away also. You know, and it's just an interesting situation. It depends on the environment. It depends on my energy level, my spoons level, my stress level in a certain environment, where I may be very calm and comfortable environment, and I'm not bombarded by sensory information, where I can make eye contact. It does come more naturally because I have more resources available to devote to being able to do those things subconsciously. So, yeah, that's the gist of it. And I think one of the things that I wish that the neurotypical community understood better is that eye contact for an autistic person, for the autistic people, is not something that is an accurate way to determine our level of interest or engagement or our personal connection with the person. It's just not accurate to begin with. So that just kind of adds a little bit more stress, because just in the back of my mind, I know that if I'm not making eye contact and this person doesn't necessarily understand why I don't make eye contact, you know, maybe they're inclined to take it personally, that I'm stressing out because, you know, I struggle to express anyway, you know, that I am interested in engaged. You know, when someone's talking to me, I don't have those, you know, those signifiers that people have that I'm listening, like, you know, so I'm missing those. So, you know, like, how's this person know that I care about what they're saying, you know? So I'm very, I don't know, empathetic in that way. I think too much about making sure that I'm approaching someone and the way someone's receiving me is accurate, you know, so as to not inadvertently hurt someone's feelings or whatever. I just wish that the neurotypical community understood that, you know, not making eye contact for an autistic person is not an indicator of interest or that kind of thing. And one of the things that I very much appreciated as I've sort of evolved since my diagnosis gotten to the place where I am stimming freely and in public, and I'm not trying to pass as neurotypical, and so I don't make an effort to make eye contact if it's not something that's happening naturally on its own. And one of the things I very much appreciate is if people don't they don't bring it up, or they don't act like it's not, you know, they're not outwardly noticing, you know, they're just talking to me like normal. It's just very, very, very comforting. It helps me to exist in the world, knowing that nobody's sort of calling me out on being different. And also too, when someone's talking and I'm not giving those, you know, head nods and that, you know, like the vocal visual signs that I'm listening and that I understand, you know, when I'm with someone and they don't take that to mean that I'm not present or that I'm not listening. They actually, like, they understand. And if I don't say that I need you to repeat yourself so I can understand, if I don't interject, like, I want to say something in response, then that means keep going, you know. Kind of part of the autistic bluntness is, like, if someone's talking to me and I reach my quota of being able to process verbal language and I'm overloaded, I will tell people, okay, sorry, I can't talk anymore. Like, I just can't receive any more input right now. Sorry. You know, like, I can be blunt that way, which is kind of a blessing in disguise, is, like, as far as people know that if I'm still listening and I haven't told them to stop talking, that I'm still engaged with them in the conversation, you know. So if you are non-autistic, neurotypical person, you know, and you want to understand, you know, you have a loved one who has autism, whatever the case may be, interact with people with autism, just know that eye contact is something that's very difficult for multiple reasons that I said for autistic people, and to not assume things. You know, by all means, be, like, blunt and honest, and ask if you're wondering, if you're interacting with someone who you know is autistic and you're wondering if they are engaged with you, if they are understanding, you know, be verbal about that. Say, hey, are you following me? Are you interested in what I'm saying? Are you engaged? Are you, you know, that kind of thing, and they will tell you, you know. I much prefer being asked straight out those things that you wouldn't think to ask someone, or would feel like a weird, strange question to ask someone. I very much appreciate those things because I can say, yes, I am engaged, or no, I am engaged. You know, being aware to the fact that we don't, and I say we, and I don't mean a group, because every autistic person is different, but commonly, you know, that some autistic people don't give those nonverbal cues that they are receiving and understanding, and so it's just very nice to be understood in that way, and just be sensitive to that. Be sensitive to the fact that it is difficult and then sometimes just uncomfortable sensory-wise to make eye contact. I mean, for me, I can remember times where I'm making eye contact with someone, and it, beyond trying to strain to understand what they're saying, beyond not knowing how long is too long, it feels uncomfortable, like, neurologically. It's strange. It's that sensory discomfort, that sensory defensiveness. I feel that sensory defensiveness sensation when I'm making eye contact with someone, and it's uncomfortable for me sensory-wise. It's very interesting that it does have that sort of physical effect on our nervous systems, on our senses. It actually is, you know, for a lot of people, I think, and for me sometimes too, a painful, really uncomfortable sensory input to endure, you know, when you consider all the other things that may be happening at the same time. So, yeah, I hope I explained that well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and if you have any autistic traits that you want me to talk about in future videos for the series, put them in the comments. It's something that you want to understand better. Why do autistic people do this? Why does my autistic XYZ not do this? You know, I can maybe shed some insight to that. So comment, interact with me, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.